All right, we just saw Tron Ares. Here's our spoiler review and final verdict.
All right, well, let's get right into it. What do you think about the opening act and impression? How did that feel on you, Ghost?
To be honest with you, I thought it was a little slow starting out. I don't know. I wasn't really feeling the music choice, right? The
Intro song?
Yeah, the intro song was kind of weird. It felt like a big, kind of like a band almost.
Yeah.
Like a band, maybe like a football band type music, but mixed with like techno. And it wasn't really doing it for me. So I wasn't really sure when it opened that, I just didn't like the music choice at all.
That's fair enough. I mean, just for the audience to know, we're big EDM lovers. And
Absolutely.
So for us, I kind of tried to give it a chance. I was letting it try to build up, but it was a weird start of how
it was a very strange sound. I was like, what is this sound? Are we in an opera? Is this techno music? It was very weird. And I don't know, it's like some middle-aged beep boop music.
It did do that. But overall, how did you feel about the intro with the little recap? I thought it explained things, but it kind of went a little too fast for me, and I couldn't really catch to it or sync to what they were trying to portray there. I think that's one of the parts of the movie that kind of glossed right over me. Maybe it moved too quick, or maybe because we were in IMAX, the theater was too loud and I couldn't hear the vocals properly.
Yeah, I gotta agree with that. I still don't really know how she came into power to owning the company. Yeah. So or her sister or her family at all. So that's still kind of a mystery to me.
No, definitely. That's one of the biggest questions I had leaving the movie still, was how did Eve and her sister acquire the company?
Yeah. And it's if anyone knows, please leave it in the comments. We appreciate it. But yeah, the beginning, you're right. I would say it was definitely too fast, which left us with a lot of questions throughout the movie. Like, how did she even come into owning this company in the first place? But I did obviously, she owned the company and she did keep it, the original style and how the company worked and operated.
Yeah, definitely. And I did love how the movie started right after that, with Ares being booted up and started to go immediately into training drills. I thought that was pretty cool. A little dark, right? Because we saw immediately that he kept being dying and rebirth, and
that was a play on video games.
Oh, right? I didn't even catch the
Yeah, it was the idea that your game character would die and come back consistently. And us as the gamers who play the games, we don't really think of how the computer or the program feels.
Yeah.
But we're constantly put it through drills of training and killing it on purpose and bringing it back to life.
Yeah.
That was an interesting thought.
There was a new directive that came down. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and smash that bell like a good program that you are. Yeah, I just really liked how immediately they showed us the real world effect on Ares right off the bat. Because you could tell he was in pain with every death. And his kind of confusion and loss of who he is and what he's there. You remember, as soon as he woke up, he kind of stood to the side of the bed, and immediately he was just murdered.
Yeah. And that was also an interesting theory as well, because, they were trying to show how humans can create something that we don't necessarily understand or can control in the first place. Mm-hmm. And how the things we do to it could affect it and change the way that it sees us and how it sees its environment and sees the world without us even knowing at all.
I'm getting deep over here.
It was a philosophical modern day AI trope. Because this is the exact things that people think about AI today in today's world. What are we doing to it and how are we affecting it that we don't even understand? Because no one truly understands how these things are even being created or operated, even AI
operating
today.
Yeah, ChatGPT in general, we don't understand.
Yeah. So the Tron movie, in many ways, is kind of a wake-up call to the possibilities of AI, also mixed with the idea of 80s games and nostalgia and sort of things like that.
One of the biggest points of the movie that I jotted down was they basically were trying to bring AI to our world instead of us going into the AI world.
Yeah.
Which is honestly pretty cool. I wonder if eventually we'll get to that point and how that will even appear, because that, like you mentioned, how we're impacting these programs and how they react, and if they come into our world, how are they going to feel seeing us and they experience us doing to them, or the data they collected from us.
Yeah, and part of the plot in this movie in general, right, there was a lot of philosophical plots, like what is forever? What is alive?
Yep.
is being human more important than being digital and constantly having the ability to come back over and over. There was just a lot of philosophical tropes in this movie in general
Yeah.
that I thought were really nice for like the deep thinkers. And if you're a deep thinker, and you think about AI and Tron and all that stuff, and constantly think about what it would be like to be in the Tron world, the Tron universe, this movie is definitely for you.
No, they did an amazing job. They're sprinkling it throughout, and it was phenomenal how they did it all overall.
Yeah, exactly. But there were some parts in this movie that I'm not sure I liked very well. Some of the emotional parts, and I'm sure some of the viewers at home can agree with this, right? Like the scene when he was in the car with her, it just felt a little too rushed, right? He's like asking her all these questions. It seems all lovey-dovey. I'm like, it was a little too rushed.
Yeah, I felt like they had to kind of do that. I mean, we just, coming back, I know we spoke off air about this, but they just didn't have enough time, like screen time between Eve and Ares to really build on like a connection or a relationship. Every scene that they were together, they were pretty much being chased or hunted down. So they had already like this kind of like overarching like tension of go, go, go. They are like in a rush, but then they had to build these like slow kind of romantic
or like a friendship almost in a way. Like, hey, let's communicate and get like a common ground. Machine and human.
And that's kind of hard to do, like in any setting where you're rushing, right? Like if we're rushing to run to take care of an errand or do something really quick, we're not going to really have time to sit down and just talk about our feelings or how we feel about life and death and all that. But
yeah, and that's probably like one of the moments I was really like, I really like that moment. It's Disney, and there's some cheesy moments, obviously, when it comes to like ethics and morals and whatnot. It gets a little strange sometimes. But other than that, the movie was pretty straight on the Tron theme, which was really cool. I think this movie set the tone perfectly when you mix like the old Tron and this one together. I still think the old Tron is better, of course.
yeah,
But
overall.
I do appreciate the direction they went with the new one. I think it's a lot better than most people think it turned out,
Without a doubt.
All right, let's go into some characters. How'd you feel about Jared Leto?
Wow. I mean, I have to say, I think this is probably his best role that I've ever seen it.
I'm going to agree with you. So Jared Leto has kind of been bombing box office, movies for a while. So, to see him finally pull off a decent character and stay in character the whole time consistently, really shine and show us like he actually is a good actor.
No, I think he did an amazing job really selling being a program. And when he ends in the human aspects of him like bugging out and being almost human-like and understanding what it means to be human and all the deep philosophical pieces around that.
Exactly. Like, especially when he met Flynn in the program, that was a very, very philosophical moment. The fact that Flynn was the source code itself, like, I'm pretty sure that's not the same Flynn that was in the other Tron verse, right, with Sam. But, there could be multiple versions of him because he is code, And I thought that was really cool for him to actually meet Flynn, and Flynn was the source code. And he's kind of like asking him questions, kind of like interviewing him if he's ready for true life.
Definitely. And then while we're still talking about Ares himself, we gotta mention Athena.
Oh yeah, Athena did great. I think her
Killed it, obviously.
her part was amazing because you could see the kind of like the mental things she was going through and didn't even understand how Ares was kind of doing his own thing. She didn't understand it. She's like, we're designed to follow directions.
Right. I mean, she had a moment there a couple of times in the movie where she kind of like bugged out, but then like fell back into her protocol and her directive.
I think the fact that Athena was so obsessed with her directive showed that it was no longer her directive. It was now her personal obsession.
Like her purpose almost.
Yeah, well, she didn't know her purpose. Like she was on the same direction as Ares as a program, as an AI program, but she didn't really realize it. So she just became obsessed with her directive because she didn't understand the fact that she does have a choice.
Yeah, no, that's a great way to look at it.
Yeah, because the reason I came to that determination is when she killed Julian's mother.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that moment, I realized that Athena was having the same epiphany as Ares. It's just she didn't understand it and just chose to double down on her work instead of changing course on her work.
Dang, I didn't look at it like that, but yeah, absolutely, without a doubt.
Which is another reason why I think Ares kind of sympathized with her in a way.
Yeah, that was a
He's
great
like, I
scene,
understand you have no purpose. I have no purpose too. We
Yeah.
have to make our own purpose.
Oh man, that really comes together when she said, "What is your purpose?" Then.
Exactly. Because she was confused about her own directive, which she was already questioning.
Wow,
Which is
man.
what drove her mad.
So many layers in this movie.
Exactly. So, and that's the part that drove her mad as a program, as an AI program, as almost like a child or an infant. It drove her kind of insane because she was questioning the same things as Ares was, but she probably wasn't brave enough to go against her directive yet.
Yeah.
Which Ares now was.
Man, what a casting with Peters as Julian. I think he was one of the best characters too in the film next to Ares and obviously Athena. I think those three characters were the ones that at least I resonated with the most, and I thought they really brought it on screen.
Yeah.
What did you feel about his character overall and maybe some of the challenges and tropes he was going through?
Yeah, Julian's character was interesting because he's kind of like this rich kid who grew up owning a company.
Really trying to prove himself, honestly.
He's like a mad scientist.
Yeah.
You know, he's obsessed with getting to the next evolution of humans, but he wanted his company to be on top. And really, his company was on top. Because look at the tech they created that NCOM didn't even know about, right? They were stunned that these things were even possible in the first place, that Julian was already way ahead of his time.
Yeah, I mean, they all had the laser, right? But for some reason, Julian was the only one that was capable enough to actually bring it to reality.
Yeah. Exactly, because he was 3D printing these things. But Julian was even shocked that you could even come back. So basically, when they uploaded Eve into the other realm, the digital realm, they created like a digital copy of her in a sense. I don't think Julian knew that he could even bring her back because he was a shock when they came back.
Definitely, I noticed that too. He was really shocked.
And at the same time, she was questioning Ares of whether or not it's possible. And he's like, in theory, which means they've never done it before. You know, and then also when Julian uploaded himself into the digital world, of course, he was also shocked at what he saw. He's like, whoa, like this is what's happening here. Like we're like gods creating these worlds that we don't even understand.
Without a doubt. Yeah, I think it didn't hit me as hard because based on the original Tron that we saw, we knew that was capable. Like, right?
Yeah.
He did go into the Tron world and came back.
Yeah, but Flynn was also, even in the original Tron, right? Flynn was constantly surprised that things were possible. When he came in, he was like, what are you doing here? You know, everything that was happening, everything that, you know, Clue was doing, it all, even though obviously he's upset about a lot of things that happened, Flynn in himself is a mad scientist as well.
Right.
Just by seeing these things that he never thought was possible gave him the greatest feeling inside. Which is, you can tell throughout both movies, he enjoyed being surprised.
Yeah. I really like Julian's character. I mean, I definitely saw where it was headed. You know, mad scientist, thinks he could control everything, eventually loses control of his own creations that then turn against him. It was kind of like coming at one point. We saw it. But either way, I think, you know, Peters played it really well. And they gave us some weird or little like shocking moments that we weren't expecting 100% throughout.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't expect Athena to kill his mom.
No, that was a shocker.
Or to even turn mad in a way.
Yeah, or even like hijack the freaking lasers and come back on her own and keep rebooting and build her own army. That was a whole twist in itself. I was like, whoa, okay.
Yeah, she had 30 minutes. And she said, she's like, you kill me, I'm just going to keep coming back.
Relentless.
You know what was cool? The whole, when they hacked the system and they, I guess, send a bug through and it like turns everything out. It came like a nuclear missile from the sky.
Yeah, it came like a nuke.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. I was like, oh, this seems really cool.
Yeah, they had some pretty awe-dropping scenes. But we'll get right into that. I just want to discuss one more character and then we can move forward. It was just Eve herself, you know?
I don't know if I really liked Eve that much.
I know, that's why she probably was one of the weakest characters out of the film, even though she was a main weak character, you know? She didn't really bring a whole lot. I guess she brought the emotional scenes and for what it's worth, the romantic scenes, because she was the only character that was in a romance somewhat with Ares. So, but even that, they both were kind of like, it was hard for me to feel bad for her and her death of her sister, to even like resonate to that, to connect to it, you know?
Well, she died from natural causes, first of all, you know, cancer and whatnot. But still, it is a sad thing to see that happen. However, I'm not sure of how and why that related too much to the story. I guess because she was wanting to quit and leave the company or some
that
sort?
was part of her whole backstory, right?
Yeah, he's like, oh, don't quit, like, keep going. But, you know, as a character...
To bring it back to you, it was really about purpose.
Yeah, it was definitely about purpose.
That was her purpose.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Her directive.
The philosophical meaning of the movie in general, yeah, was definitely about purpose.
Yeah.
And making your own purpose. All right, so how do you feel about the colors used, the outfits, the designs, the fighting scenes? How did you like that in this movie?
It was phenomenal. The artwork, the costume designs, the glowing aspects of it, it really popped on screen, the contrast and everything. I don't know if it was filmed in New York or Chicago. It was definitely like a big city.
It could be San Francisco.
Or it could have
I
been
think it gave me more of a San Francisco vibe.
But they did a great job with that and the contrast of the Tron world when the AIs came into it. I mean, there was just some amazing scenes that I want to pick your brain to. But go ahead, how did you feel about?
Well, I didn't like the music in the beginning of the movie, but as the movie went, the music got better.
It did. I didn't
Like,
really.
there was some like the part where Ares was escaping Dillinger's Systems grid.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. That was a beautiful scene.
Yeah.
Probably the best scene of the movie.
Think so?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. And I don't know what track was
some
playing.
pretty dope scenes
but
that
that
call out
music,
too,
the track that was playing,
Yeah.
was sick. And just the ambiance, the glow of the environment he was in, the fact that they were underwater, but the water was also still digital.
Yeah.
Because she put her hand through and it all turned into
So cool.
cubes.
Yeah.
And just the suspense, the quietness, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's happening of that
Yeah.
scene, which is how any of us would feel if we jumped into a digital world.
Mm-hmm.
We'd be like, whoa, what is happening? What is this? Where am I? Like, what's going on? And that's kind of how you felt from that scene when she was riding on the bike with him.
Yeah, I'll have to say that scene for sure was one of the best scenes, without a doubt, because that was her first like big twist in the film, because that's when Ares turned, and we saw it coming for a minute. I would say, for a while in the film, you kind of noticed that Ares was going to flip and go, rogue or double agent, but they did a really good job of portraying it and hitting. It still hit really hard when it happened, especially when he just dropped that freaking, I don't know, let's call it a boomerang or
His little boomerang thing. His disc.
His disc, guys, it's called disc, yeah. When he drops his disc and then right immediately it gets to that heart pounding scene that you're mentioning. It's probably one of the best scenes in the movie for sure.
And that was the mental, gymnastics he was going through. He's like, okay, my king gave me a directive, but I don't like this directive. Like, it's now or never,
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a cool scene too. As soon as he dropped it and then they go underground, they go in the water, he's like, we're escaping. Like, let's make a deal, Like, that could have been a bad deal for her if he was like a killing machine like the Terminator, right?
Yeah, definitely. That's what it made me feel like when he walked up to her, he's like, "Can I trust you?" That whole little moment there, that was really well done. Whoever came up with that, they did a great job. And to really just hone back in on what you said, like the music, the whole thing felt like a ride. And it was wonderful.
That line she said too was also a philosophical moment on how we feel about AI, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "Can I trust you?" And she's like, "Maybe, probably not." So because she's smart enough, and humans will be smart enough to know that we can't really trust an AI.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was one of those chat GPT moments.
For sure. And the other moment when he said it right before that, he's like, "I'm fearless, so I am powerful."
Yeah, exactly.
That was hard. That hit hard too.
Yeah, that was another AI moment. That was a good one.
So just to jump on a couple more other scenes that really spoke out to me, I think the two other scenes that were pretty dope in my opinion were possibly the first one, was the motorcycle chase scene. That was sick when they were running around the city in the whole Tron style, like with the lines and everything around.
Oh yeah.
That was sick. Just visually, it was a pretty dope scene. The cinematography in this movie was pretty great. And then the last scene with the space commander when Athena came after Eve.
Oh, when she was like flying. Yeah, that was sick.
And when she launched the drones,
yes.
and they all freaking popped up and scored through the whole city. Oh man.
When they were driving through the city and leaving ribbons, I was like, this is bound to cause chaos.
Definitely.
So the fact that it did cause chaos, it was like all over the news, that was pretty good that they did that. They showed us that. They're like, yeah, they ribboned the whole city up and caused destruction and chaos everywhere. And we know. Because I was thinking the whole time, I was like, how could they not know?
Yeah.
So it was cool to see them send the military.
Yeah, I was gonna hit on that point
things
too.
like that.
It was dope to see the military actually come in and step up and try to actually shut them down. This like alien force that we don't know of.
Yeah, I still think. Well, I guess they only had 30 minutes, right, to respond to this whole situation, and some of it might still be unbelievable to most humans when they hear it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess it was pretty practical that you wouldn't see too much military presence.
No, just the fighter jets were pretty dope how they came out.
So I think some of the things that they try to connect the first movie with this movie are basically her office in NCOM
I noticed that too.
was
Yeah.
all Flynn-based, original NCOM base. She was even using an old school computer when they were in their little remote location.
Right.
It was like the 90s green screen, which was cool too. And then the 80s nostalgia moment when Ares goes into NCOM's grid.
Yeah, they sprinkled some 80s stuff around there when he was trying to talk about the music on the car ride. He was playing the 80s tracks.
Exactly.
But definitely with the 80s grid was a really cool callback to the original Tron.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like, what was it, Pixel? A Pixel came to talk to him?
No, a bit.
A bit, yeah. Like the old memory format.
Oh, it's a bit.
It's like, oh, it's a bit. It's a little ball. And he's like, can you help me? It's like, yeah.
And when he got into the actual
dog.
The writer, how it was like, he's like, oh, retro. That was dope. And how he actually, when it cut the lines, it didn't like do a smooth take. It just did a chop.
Yeah.
Because it was 80s
Like
style.
a quick boop. Boop,
yeah.
it was like playing Snake. I actually thought that Pong was going to come out.
Yeah.
Right? The ball. I was like, is this Pong? Is he going to like play Pong or something?
Yeah, I thought honestly when they sent Ares into that world that he was going to play like the original Tron, like in an arena or something
I thought so too. I thought it was going to be the grid from the first one.
I thought so too.
That would have been insane.
Yeah, they kind of had a little missed potential there to do a little bit of a combat arena with Ares there. But no, for what it's worth, they did do a good job of sprinkling some nostalgia in there and adding those layers.
The only thing I would have liked to see more is the other grid that Ares originally came from. We really didn't see too much on how
the Dillinger system grid?
Yeah, we didn't see too much on how the beings there interact, how they are.
Yeah, you're
you
right.
know, like the original Tron grid where they kind of gave us a whole, experience with the people that also live on that grid and how they feel and the things they're going to. That would have been cool.
I think I don't know how much they could have gone to it because from what I'm understanding, like each grid is like basically a program, like a giant program of what it's written of. And so the Dillinger system was really just like...
It was probably more organized, more controlled, yeah.
Cybersecurity, pretty much. They were just protecting like a fortress.
Yeah, I guess you're right because like the original grid was open source. It was pure code that just existed on its own.
Exactly.
Yeah, and this one was more controlled code written with a purpose and directive.
Yeah, so I think some of the other things that felt a little weak to me throughout the film, besides some cheesy moments, there was some humor in it. It could have had a bit better for what Disney usually known for. But overall, the fighting scenes, I thought it could have added a little bit more fighting scenes. There was a lot of chasing scenes, which were cool,
Yeah, they definitely sold us motorcycles and cars. Like, we were going to go out. It was like Fast and the Furious Part 1.
Basically. There was a lot of chasing scenes, which were cool in its own right. But I wanted a little bit more action fighting scenes. We had maybe like 4 or 5. And like really it was just Ares himself being the main like combat with Athena.
Yeah.
Like that whole scene when they infiltrated the actual Incom security system, that was cool when they broke in with a stealth mission.
That was a really good idea too, how they were showing that he was using the AI to hack his competitors. And then the competitors also had their own bots in a way too, and they had to defeat those bots within their own grid. That was cool.
Very cool.
All right, so I just want to talk about the ending scene, especially when Ares is now human, right? Flynn gave him the secret to turn his digital code into human DNA. That's what it looked like he gave him. Because obviously he's getting beat up, he's all hurt. And he's probably realizing, hey, being human might not be a good idea. I'm on the floor all beat up now. This kind of hurts.
Yeah. I noticed that his complexion changed. He was more like kind of grayed out before, and then when he came back, he was actually more like human tone.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't notice that. It's a good catch. But I did like the ending. I'm not sure of like the whole I'm traveling all dressed up, all supermodel-ish. I don't know about that. That was kind of like, eh. But I did like that he showed pictures of Sam and the girl that Sam came out of his grid with. So that kind of shows that part 3 might be a mix of Julian, because Julian obviously is going to be some type of Clue-like character in his own grid. Ares, Sam, and the girl, I don't really know her name.
Eve?
No, the digital girl that Sam came out the grid.
Oh, yeah, I don't remember her name either.
So, because he's going to go search for them. That's
Right.
what it looks like. Ares is going to go find them, kind of connect with them. She's probably the only other human digital being that can understand him and where he's from.
Right.
So there might be some connection in the next movie.
Yeah, good take. I definitely am interested in how they're going to do the third. And I think there will be a third for sure.
Absolutely. All right, let's go into the final verdict. And the reason I want to talk about this is because we see a lot of comments online a lot of influencers, a lot of big channels, right, dogging this movie and kind of influencing others to not watch it.
Right. It's kind of
Like,
strange.
yeah, the comments are crazy. Like, how many people are influenced by other people to not go see something just because they tell you? So many people saying it's DEI, it's woke. First of all, Ares is still a man. At the end of the day, he is fighting women, but it's like 3 versus 1 guy, and we know how that's working out. So, like, come on.
Spoiler alert, he wins.
Exactly. Like, they did it. It's Disney. Disney likes to have a diverse cast. Disney likes to change things up. It's the way it is, and it's the way it's gonna be. But either way, beside all the negative comments and all the negatives things you see online, the movie was great.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
I give it honestly, what, 8?
I give it 8. Yeah.
Yeah, 8.8. Honestly, 8.7.
Yeah, I would say it's definitely around the 8. It's not the greatest movie, but for the budget they had and the story and the fans that they were trying to bring back to this, I think it did a really good job, especially how long, the last movie came out. Usually when you make a, part 2, a sequel for something that came out 10, 15 years ago, it doesn't come out so great.
No, and I honestly, we went into it blind, so I didn't have high hopes, to be honest with you guys. For us to score it an 8, it really smashed it out the park.
Yeah, we didn't watch any reviews. We didn't listen to any other influencers, any other big channels, which I'm glad we did. Because, yeah, if you're being influenced not to watch something just because someone else told you to, yeah, that's pretty sad.
You're really missing out on a great film, guys.
Absolutely, yeah. It was a great movie, and I hope everyone goes out and watches it, and we truly hope you enjoy it.
Definitely watch it in IMAX because the colors and the contrast and the sound system just is amazing.
Well, that's our take on Tron. Leave your comments and likes, and we'll see you in the next movie.
Take care.